So welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Cause if you didn't, now you know. Light it up, kid, give them a show. Be volcanic and just let it blow. Oh, make them shiver. They've been waiting for the real man, time to deliver. I'm magnetic, I move still. They can't feel it, soon they will. You spit electric, you shock with sight. Your sounds eclectic, the crowds ignite. They've been waiting for it, so just let them have it. Yeah, double stuff them like a sandwich, yo. If it ain't enough, the hell with it. Top pitch. They try me, buy me, ride me, tie me, then I'll make it exquisite. So you can fly me, wine me, die me, opining on me for a minute. Cause
I really don't care. Just let it burn so long as I can feel it. Lie to me if you dare, cause it's the only way I can believe it. It's the G-Talk.
We're live?
We're live.
G-Talk, baby.
Let's
What's
go.
good?
What's going on, Frankie?
I'm chilling, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great. We're doing a lot of testing.
Yeah.
We got some new equipment.
Yeah.
You're looking good over there with well, it says Rode on there, so we can't not, rep it. They make quality stuff.
Yeah.
They make quality. Oh,
well, we're 6 seconds in, and you're already throwing chips.
I'm already throwing chips, but I didn't actually say it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't actually say it. So I'm going to hold myself back today.
Okay.
Because I listened back and we really were pretty liberal on the I was like, holy, but you do you, I'll do me. Don't worry about it. I start cursing and it becomes a whole it becomes a whole thing. So welcome to the G-Talk number 6 pod.
This is number 6.
Number 6.
Yeah.
How do you think we've been doing so far? You've listened to quite a few of them, right?
I listened to all of them.
Well, yeah, me too.
More than once.
What's your take? What do you think? Be honest. Not that you wouldn't be. I mean,
I think that in my opinion, I think every pod is better than the last one. And that's not to devalue the one prior.
Nope.
But I don't know if we're just getting more comfortable, if we're getting more comfortable with the give and take, and
yep,
our subjects are relevant to what we're trying to accomplish, and at the same time we're making it fun, which is always cool. So I am really enjoying, and I've been getting feedback from the people I shared it with.
Really? Go ahead. Tell me some more.
They all said it's difficult to believe that you guys just started this about 3 weeks ago.
Go on. I'm liking this.
Yeah, they say it sounds like you've been doing this for years. And I said, wow, that's
Do
really
they
good.
believe in past lives?
I didn't ask.
I think maybe we in the 1400s when we were out in the in the farm, and we were just, I don't know, whatever. We used to entertain our the other farmers and talk back and forth. I don't know, that was dumb. But who are you sharing this with, by the way?
My nephew, my son, my sister, and a couple friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they like it.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good. We're building to something.
Yeah.
What we're building towards? No idea. But we have a mission, don't we?
We do.
Would you like a 20-second thing about what our mission is?
Our mission is to offer a safe place to the brokenhearted, divorced, separated people that find themselves vulnerable and don't know how to or where to begin, that they're consumed with pain or they're vulnerable. And as me and my co-host here recently went through this, and our experience provoked this to happen, we vowed to help our fellow man, get back up, and that is the mission of the G-Talk.
Well, you are bringing the love and the smoothness as your tag says. You want to hear what it says?
Oh, that's my favorite part, dude. It's like opening a fortune cookie. I don't know what's gonna read.
I'll start with mine.
Okay.
Mine just says, "I try."
Hey.
I try.
Okay.
Yours says, "Suave como la seda."
Wow.
Did I say that right?
You said that right.
Oh, I was guessing. I don't know if it's seda or seda.
Seda.
Yeah, it's smooth as silk.
Smooth as silk.
Do you know why? For anyone, once we post, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to post some of these pilot episodes. Let me just say, you went on not a rant, please. I think it was a course. You taught a course on how to be a man, about how to treat your lady. Buying an outfit.
Mm.
That was smooth.
Mm.
As Seda. That was like, I listened back and I'm sitting there, and the entire time, if you look at my face when I'm looking back at you, this is me the whole time. And I'm just like, how in the world? The sheer balls of being able to go by. And I say balls, please. When you know your lady, right? You know her the way you know her.
Mm-hmm.
And let me ask you a question. Not the first time you did that, right? I'm not trying to call you out on this. Not the first time you've ever bought a lady. If it is, I'm sorry. You know, it sounds like you know how to do this and you've been doing this for a while.
Oh, no. Mostly with my wife. I mean, that's
okay.
like I don't want to say the first real relationship I had, but, you know.
The one that you fostered the greatest connection where you felt comfortable to
Right.
do such a thing.
Right.
Am I accurate in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, being together so many years, you know, you get to know them and, you know.
You could buy them an outfit.
Yeah.
And some shoes.
Yeah.
And then she puts it on and goes, "Hey." Well done. That's why you are smooth as silk. Suave como la seda.
Well,
did I say that right?
You said it right,
okay,
man.
I'm looking by the end. What did you say by the end of this? I'm going to be what?
You'll be fluent in Spanish with the last podcast of the quarter. It will be transmitted in Spanish.
I'm going to be like, in like Spanish. Welcome to the G Talk. Frankie.
Bienvenidos al G Talk, coño.
Okay. Oh, there you go, kid. Oh, you're so good. So you said that word, coño.
In every episode?
In every episode. And I got to be honest with you, I was hitting the chips
Mm-hmm.
every time thinking it was a swear.
Mm-hmm.
Because I hear coño. I don't even want to say the word that I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the C word in English. Like,
oh, okay.
Rhymes with like something the Kansas City never does, punt. I thought that's what it was. So I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm thinking your sister's like, oh coño. But it's not.
No.
What is it? Or shall I guess? Because I don't know what that means.
Coño is the equivalent to English as in damn, shit, fuck.
Oh,
You know.
it's kind of like a what?
It's you know, like when you say damn.
Or in French, zoot, or something. Like it's kind of a way to curse without. You're just saying all the curses, kind of.
It depends. Like for example, when I said you know, Juan Soto is ese mama huevo coño. I meant that well, in that sense, it would be like, you know, that cocksucker bastard. You know what I'm saying?
Here we go.
Coño, I didn't want to say that. You see, that meant damn right there. You know,
okay.
so
we're not clipping that, but go on.
It depends on the context of how you say. You know, like I dropped my drink, coño. So that's like
I got one for you. Ready?
Yeah.
I had two different roommates in college that were Greek.
Mm-hmm.
My freshman year, his name was George. My junior year, his name was also George. Go figure. George is popular in Greek. and they used to say a word. I remember listening to them talking on the phone. It was always, in Greek, and this is me doing Greek. You ready? Malaka. 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 And I'm like, what the hell is Malaka? And they essentially said exactly what you just said. It's just a good all-around curse. Malaka is like, you bitch, you whatever. I don't want to go through it. But it's kind of like coño. I'm trying to think what the Portuguese version is caralho? I don't know. It's like,
that's...
You know what I'm saying? Like, Portuguese YouTube is already censoring us. They're already like, oh, no. But every language has its like...
Did you say carajo?
Yes.
Puerto Ricans use that word.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think... let's not go any further on that. They could... Whoever they is that's watching this can look this up on Puerto Rican Google. What would be the name for Puerto Rican Google? El Google?
Google. Google
El Google. Because like in Portugal, Google's like the interneta. Go on the interneta and look up when Porto is playing. The interneta. El Google.
I was not aware of that.
We won't go down the immigrant internet. That's a whole other thing. But
yeah, but coño is, so you drop your drink, coño, and depending how bad it is, you put more thunder to the voice.
Got it. So you can go coño or
coño, like damn. Yeah. Oh, coño, and that's like
yeah,
shit.
Okay.
Yeah, so
interesting, isn't it?
Depending on the level of what happened will provoke the right coño.
There's multiple coños.
Again, depending what happened, if you stump your toe, oh, coño. Yeah. Versus somebody crash your car, coño. You know what I'm saying?
Coño, I'm gonna get
And but it's normally, either shit, damn, or fuck. Something in that family.
I'll accept that. I like when it sounds so efficient when you curse in Spanish. It sounds like we could just wrap up all that shit in one word. Just, you know what? You want to learn cursing in Here, coño, move on.
Yeah.
Let's go out to other conjugations. Spanish always being efficient for you. Do you want to listen? I know you don't want to talk about Juan Soto, but before we went on live, we're live in the mothership. Live, whatever. You said the tickets for Yankees Mets Subway Series next year. Go on. Tell the world already what they're selling for, like the Section 203.
Yeah. So my son sent the dates. Okay, they're playing, I believe, between the 14th and 16th of May in Yankee Stadium.
What a beautiful time of year to
yeah,
right?
That's perfect. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. And I was like, let me check StubHub, see how much are the tickets right now. If I find cheap tickets, I would probably buy them. The cheapest ticket was $196
for bleacher seats.
No, this is like section 400,
okay. Way up there.
Way up there. That and it's vertical, and it's not my favorite.
Yep. What do 203 seats go for?
203 was I saw them for as much as $300.
Holy coño!
And the bleachers and regular, yeah, coño for real. And typically those tickets are $12, $15.
Oh my
god! And yeah, $300.
What do you anticipate that the response from the crowd when he goes out there and runs? What does he play? Right field? I forget.
Yeah, right field.
He's going to be right there.
Yeah, in front of 203.
In front of 203.
Yeah.
Bro. And it's at Yankee Stadium. It's not at Citi Field.
It's at Yankee Stadium.
What do you predict? What's the response?
Yankee fans and Met fans, for some reason, they don't get along.
For some reason, I wonder why. 27 versus...
but it's like I have nothing against the Mets. I like them. I root for the Mets. I always go for I always go for them to meet in the World Series because it's like, New York won baseball. And, that'll be awesome. Game 7 between Yankees and Mets.
How big would that be?
Yeah. In 2000, the World Series was Yankees and Mets. And I was so hoping for Game 7. As
what,
a
did you
Yankee
go to 5
fan,
games?
It went to 5
It was
games.
4-1, right?
Yeah.
I think the Mets got lucky on winning one of the games.
I believe so.
Right.
But yeah, I was going for Game 7. I was rooting against the Yankees on Game 5
He said
because
to move it, yeah.
it's like I won a Game 7, and
Yeah.
and I'm a Yankee fan. I grew
Yeah.
up a mile from Yankee Stadium. I could walk to Yankee Stadium
Yeah.
if I wanted to,
Yeah.
and all the playoff games from where I lived all the way down to Yankee Stadium. It's the same roads, in Walton Avenue in the Bronx, from 176 to 161st, and it's like a party from there all the way through 161st. When it was playoffs, when they won the playoffs, the World Series, it was a lot of fun.
It's funny because even I've gone to Yankee Stadium quite a few times. Both of them. The new one, I've gone a couple times. The previous one, I went a few times. And you're right, it is a big party. Though the last one, the previous Yankee Stadium, they definitely opened that up around there, right? They opened that up where you could then pregame it a little bit. Whereas before, I felt like I was under an overpass, and we're like drinking and with cars parked everywhere and people hawking tickets and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And but now it seems a little bit. They've got all sorts of they have the monument where the old Yankee Stadium home plate was, and then they have some other stuff out there. It looks nicer, right?
Yeah, I go every time I go
you know what
there.
I'm talking about, right? Like the whole lead up to the
Well, I come from north south.
I have no
Wait,
idea which way that would be.
Yes, because we're from here to get down to the stadium. We're in the north. We're going south to the Bronx. So we run into 167. If you're coming from the south going north to Yankee Stadium, then you will see the old stadium there.
Right.
But since I'm coming from the opposite direction, I never stopped there, and I haven't been there quite. And I don't even know what it looks like, to be honest.
Okay, it's nice. It looks pretty good. There's like a ball field for kids to play and stuff. They did a nice job. But my point was, old Yankee Stadium. If you want to pregame it, you're just pregaming it at your car. There's nowhere to go. There's not like bars and stuff to go to. But if you go to like Fenway and Lansdowne Street and all. There's so much stuff around there. Even Yankee fans that went up there for like the series and stuff, they love going there. Like there's so many
it
bars.
was so much fun.
There's so many bars.
I told you, I think I told you I went to Fenway, and I had a fantastic time over there. And the Yankees won in dramatic fashion. It was pretty cool.
And you feel safe. You're not gonna get. You're fine. You're not gonna be hurt.
Yeah, no, I wasn't worried at all. It was me
Yeah.
and my brother and another friend, and we were friendly. We wasn't trying to start no shit. And if somebody starts shit with us, we're just
Right.
like
You're doing your thing.
Well, I could make fun of them,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a big deal. It was an awesome time.
Yankee fan,
But,
why don't you go back to your place in the Bronx? Hey, big boy. Hey, Konya. Hey, Kona. Oh, be careful with that one.
There was somebody that gave me some shit in the bathroom. It was, I don't know, maybe 10.
Who dare gives you crap in the bathroom?
He was 10 or 11 years old.
seriously.
He was 10 or 11 years old. And he says, I think you're in the wrong part of town. I said, dude, it's past your bedtime. What are you doing up? You know what I'm saying? But,
Kid, I'll destroy you. Do you know what I look like?
no,
yeah, you're looking at me.
I just wanted to give him a little shit back. It's all fair game. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could talk a little crap, but, let's do it respectfully, because talking crap is half the fun,
Oh, yeah. Well, in years past, nowadays, who knows? That freaking 11-year-old could have a freaking gun or some crap. It's so ridiculous. I don't like to go down that path, but just even today when I was talking about, remember earlier I voice messaged you and I said, I literally went down to Starbucks, which is, people are like,
maybe a mile.
That's your first problem.
Mm-hmm.
A mile or two, right? A couple miles down the street from the mothership here. And within the end of the street, was it 1,000 feet, not even 500 feet, right? The stop sign. Someone blew the stop sign when I was ready to go. I'm like, oh, here we go. And then I go down another 1,000 feet, trying to make a left into the street. And someone pulls all the way out. They're like 4 feet into I'm like, bro, I got my big ass truck. And now I'm kind of doing a question mark around them and wondering why I'm not, knocking them out with my truck. a piece of shit Honda. And then I go to the end of that. It was like boom, boom, boom. Someone blows through what I like to call an orange light, where you should have slowed down, and they just blow through. I'm just like, oh my God, what the is wrong with people today? They're not reading the energies. And then I'm like, well, maybe today's a little weird. So it feels weird today. It's a little warmer than usual. It's December 11th. It's a little, I don't know. And I said, I got to talk to Frankie about this, because this is a small town. The town that we live in is pretty small. You know, it's I think if it's 100,000, I'm not even sure. And I go, all these people are stuck in their little worlds. They're in their house or apartment. They're dwelling. They get into their car or their transportation. They get into their work. They go to the Starbucks, whatever, or Dunkin' Donuts. Everyone's isolated in these little cocoons. Very little interaction personally with each other unless they're at work, like us, having to deal with customers. And it's easy to hide inside of a car, right? Everyone's Frankie in a car. Like everyone's a tough guy. Everyone's a cowboy, el caballero, you know. And how'd I do there? Caballero?
Caballero's gentleman.
It's not a cowboy?
Cowboy is...
Comanchero?
Hold on.
I suck.
Wait, no, caballero. Vaquero.
Okay. Everyone's a cowboy.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're hard, right? And then beeping, whatever. And I say to myself, if you're in the city and you're walking around and you bump into somebody, you ain't behind a car, right? You're not behind a car. You got to deal with that brother, whoever it is. And I feel like being in the city, people are more real. They have to be more real. It's a little bit more dangerous. But you don't get that kind of nonsense in the city, I would imagine. And then the city, when I say the city, by the way, anyone that says the city, people that call New York City NYC or New York City, they're not from that area. It's the city, right? I mean, what do you call it? It's not New York City. It's not NYC. It's the city or whatever borough you're from, right? That's what we've always called it my entire life.
We refer to as the boroughs. We don't, like, I personally don't say the city is, if you're going to Manhattan, you're going to Manhattan. If you're going to Brooklyn, you're going to Brooklyn.
But if you're talking about the city as the totality, I'm not saying New York. I just call it the city.
And I actually say New York.
You do?
Yeah.
Most people then that never lived in the city that I know call it the city because it's the closest, biggest city. They're not referring to Boston.
Yeah, and it's funny. A lot of my friends call it the city, but it's like, no, it's New York. And like, where are you from? New York.
But most people, I would imagine that they're not from New York. Again, I don't. Maybe I'm just trying to build an argument that's going to lose. But long story short, it's a different experience. Can we agree on that?
Oh yeah.
Than living in this town. Talk to me about. You've lived in both. Actually, you've lived in a small town. I'll do it in. You've lived in a big city, the city, whatever, in New York. You've lived in a pretty big city, but not a megalopolis like New York, if you want to say where you lived before. And then you lived in a town here. So you have 3 different kind of places. Compare and contrast. Which is better? Do you feel safer in this town? Do you feel safe? I mean, do you go? What's your take on that? You're already smiling.
Dude, born and raised in New York, in the Bronx, in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I moved to a small town when I was 21, which was, I forgot what year, but I was just about 21, turning 21. And I hated this town so much.
The one we're in now?
Yeah.
Go on.
I used to go to New York.
I could see why. Go on.
I used to go to New York on Friday, come back on Sunday, every single weekend for like the first year.
You couldn't handle this.
Sleepy
ass town.
I'm like, dude, are you serious? Last call is at 1:45.
If that.
But at the time,
right.
This was early 90s.
Oh my God.
And I was like, the clubs in New York is 4 a.m, and then you got the after hours that go to like noon.
Can you be served 24 hours a day in New York City?
Yes. Well,
legally,
there's spot.
Legally,
no. Legally,
what's the last call?
last call in New York is normally around 3:30, 3:45.
Holy jeebus.
Um,
Wow.
Yeah, but if you got a bottle on your table, you could pretty much hang out there until
Till
it's
whenever.
really, really time to go. And that's when the staff is walking out the door.
Right. Oh my God. What's the latest that you've ever been in the city, in New York City? What's the latest you've ever rolled? Till the sun came up?
2:00 in the afternoon. It was an after hours,
Oh,
and
my
then after the
God.
after hours, we, a few of us went with a few others, and it was an apartment. We bought a bunch of beers, and
Let's go.
we just kept rocking. And
Bud Lights and Cheerios. Let's go. or Cheerios and Coors Lights. Let's go.
No, at the time I think it was either Corona or Heineken.
Yeah,
and,
Coronas and how dare I?
and
Coors Light, or excuse me, Coronas and Cheerios. Let's go.
yeah.
Cornflakes and Coronas. That's funny. It's the city that never sleeps for a reason. Right?
Yeah, there's there was a club called Sound Factory, and it was open from 12 midnight to 12 midnight.
So it doesn't open till 12.
Right.
So you're not even getting there till 11:45.
But you can't be the first one
Yeah,
there.
I was gonna say how. Okay, hold on. The whole crowd is gonna do this for me. Sorry, I'm not suave como la seda. That's how I roll, and I try.
Yeah, but
go on.
I'll tell you a funny story. I went there with my man Boo Boo and my man Phil. They had a pajama party.
Oh, I like this already, but not like Diddy, right?
Not like Diddy.
Okay,
No.
how dare I? Go on.
And we got there about 1:30, and in the morning.
Oh, AM, wow.
Yeah. And it's an EDM club. It's all they play. If anybody knows Sound Factory, they know that was the real deal. That was probably easily one of the top 3 clubs in New York.
For EDM.
Yeah.
Or just in general.
Yeah, they had showers there. They had a restaurant there. Upstairs on the
Showers?
3rd floor. Yeah, they had big
All right, keep talking.
beds
Keep talking.
and couches, and like in the 3rd floor. Then it was 3 floors.
Did you ever see anything going on? Wink, wink, like.
Well, if you want to know, the bathrooms are unisex.
Of course they are. Welcome to New York.
Yeah, and
Welcome to New York.
I've seen some interesting things there.
Holy jeebus.
But this particular day, the pajama party, it was awesome because the girls were really like in 90s, and they looked really, really nice. But it's EDM, so everybody's very respectful. And
so it's still that same culture we talked about in another. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's plur, peace, love, unity, respect. And long story short, it's about 9:30 in the morning now, and I'm dead tired and I'm starving hungry. So I tell I'm like, yo, you guys ready to go? And they're not serving alcohol at that time, so there were a lot of drugs. I'm sorry to say.
Well, it's welcome to New York.
and I don't, I was scared of all that. So we left the club at about 9:30 in the morning, and there's a line to get inside the club.
You're leaving.
I'm leaving, and there's a line.
There's a line.
There must have been at least 60, 70 people online, and I was like, wow. And my friends and I were walking, like to the beat of the music there, because it's just like so in us. And I'm like, yo, you guys feel that? Am I the only one walking like this?
Oh my God. That's pretty. How old are you at the time?
Let's see. I think my son was recently born. Yeah, Alexis was already born, and I must have been 25.
Could you do that now? Be honest. Maybe once.
In the right atmosphere, maybe. And some people would say, well, that's unlikely. But in the right atmosphere, maybe.
You have the stamina to do that.
When I go to the festivals, I went to a festival a couple of years ago. We get there at about 1:00 in the afternoon, and we leave about midnight.
And you said some of those festivals, they just keep going till sunrise.
In Vegas, yeah.
Okay.
In New York, they end around midnight, between 10 and midnight, and that's the whole time rocking without sitting down once. Then you got to walk to your car, and that's 3 or 4 miles.
Yeah, a mile or two away. Oh my god.
And once you sit in your car, boy,
You're getting your steps, and then you do.
like, oh my God! Wow. And the closer you get to your car, like the more tired you get, and that's that psychology.
Yeah.
When you got to use the bathroom,
my
the closer you
God.
get to your bathroom, the more intense
Yep,
it gets.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my god. I just that's crazy to me. But I did stuff like that when I was younger. I guess in college and stuff,
Mhm.
where you're up really late. And it's funny. There's something that happens once you're up for a certain amount of time.
Mhm.
Like just even waking up at 4 a.m, like we do sometimes, right? It's a different feeling. It's a different energy.
Mhm.
I like it. But that's when I sleep before the 3 to 4 in the morning, and not when I'm up till.
Mhm.
But I've done it before. I've been up for my longest straight time awake. 46 hours straight, something like that. Things started getting a little wonky. I started feeling weird. I was sharp-ish, but had I been trying to be in a club or something, I would have been like all over the place. So I
Mhm.
can't even imagine. I know some people that they're awake for days, but there's a little help with that.
Yeah.
And then there's even the Russian sleep experiment. Did I talk to you about that?
No.
Oh, we'll have to Google it. We'll have to go to the internet and pull up the Russian sleep experiment. This shit is wild.
Mm.
Where the Russians did an experiment. They took a bunch of soldiers or volunteers or whatever, and they kept them up for like 5 days straight.
Mm.
They just kept playing music and injecting them with all sorts of shit. And they kept them awake for all that. And they started hallucinating. So much so, bro, it's documented. It is crazy. I'll have to play some videos someday. All of a sudden, they would start screaming. And then all of a sudden, they got quiet. And the doctors came in, the psychologists. And I'm smiling. It's kind of sad. And they like ripped one of them apart. They absolutely killed the guy. And supposedly. And then they kept saying, we can't go to sleep because they're going to go away. And they're like, who's they? And they must have been all of them hallucinating so bad that they were seeing visions and stuff. That's how messed up the brain gets when it doesn't have sleep. And they said, if we go to sleep, they're going to go away. We're going to lose contact. We can't go to sleep. So finally they went to sleep, some of them. And one of them died, went to sleep and never woke up. I mean, it made me think, I had 46 hours without sleep and I was getting a little wonky. These guys were like 5-6 days without sleep.
Mm.
Now send them to a rave or an EDM. I mean, they'll become demons. I mean, sleep is important. And I'm not trying to be a boomer, but it doesn't take that long before. And then you add amphetamines and all sorts of garbage in there. You get pretty messed up quick. That gets cray-cray. So what's the longest that you stayed up without sleep? And what the hell were you doing?
I think one time if there was a couple of times party started on a Friday. I guess I woke up that day, went to work, did whatever I had to do. Then the party's, Friday night goes all through Saturday. Saturday morning comes and, there's still a bunch of us there. So we're going to make a big soup so everybody could eat. Somebody's going to run to the store, buy, like 8 packs of beer, bring it back.
Still partying.
And yeah, next thing you know, it's like, 4 p.m. It's like, oh, anybody still hungry? All right, let's cook something else. And it'll just go on. Then, more people start showing up. Now is Saturday, 10 o'clock at night. Some more people came. They brought some bottles and some more beers. And next thing you know, it's Sunday morning. And then you got to go home and,
deal with your life.
Yeah. And, thank God that cell phones didn't exist back then because, it was really, really, crazy as far as, I wouldn't say crazy. It was a lot of fun, because it was, a good environment, good energy. Everybody there was really, really cool. So,
but cell phones ruined it.
I cell phones has its conveniences, but.
By the way, this is a great transition. We were talking about something before about cell phones. You have a thought, and it's not a unique one. I've thought the same thing. We both were talking about your cell phone, right? You're saying, I think it's listening to me, right? Do you want to elaborate on what we were talking about?
I'll give an example.
Go for it.
Not too long ago, I was like, I need new clubs for. I left my clubs in North Carolina. And it's like, okay, once April rolls around, I need new clubs because the clubs I had it forever. And I'm like, I think I'm due for new clubs.
Clubs matter. I play golf too. Yep.
Yeah. And I don't know how much time passed, but I go to my Instagram and suddenly I'm getting, I'm scrolling and I see, Dick's has a special on clubs. Walmart has a special on clubs. And I'm like, how did this happen? And I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I can't find its ears. But what is going on that this just randomly happens?
Not only did it randomly happen, you didn't type anything.
I didn't type anything at all.
Right.
I would not shop at Dick's for clubs because number one, I can't afford that. That is just way too much.
They have good clubs, and
they do
and
have
if they
good
ever want to be a
clubs.
sponsor.
Yeah, you want to donate some clubs. That $1,900 ones. Yeah, we'll put it up here and show it to the viewers. But
we'll find a way to take the mothership out to the golf course
yeah.
if you want.
But I thought that was very, very scary. And my wife one time also was talking about. I forgot. I don't remember what it was, but sure enough, it showed up in her Instagram, and I was like, wow, like. That's what I said, babe, we're going to have to put these phones in the drawer when we're having a conversation.
Well, listen, and thank you for anyone listening. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory anymore. I don't.
No, it's dude.
It's provable, is it not?
Let's choose a subject. I'm going to leave my phone right here. This phone has Instagram on it.
My phone is actually helping to record you. But go ahead, because this was done on a couple of podcasts I listened to, and they were unsuccessful. It was on the Joe Rogan podcast. It was Joe Rogan, and I think it was Ted Segura. I love the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't care what people say. It doesn't bother me. I think it's entertaining and whatever. I'm a convert, but I listen to a lot of things. And they did the same study. They started talking about something random that they normally don't talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, they didn't. I think it takes a day or so. I don't think it's instant.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the show, they went to their phones to see, because they were talking about, I think it was like high school baseball or some innocuous type of thing. But even like golf clubs, right? I wonder, but don't go to Google because they, maybe they.
I won't go to Google. I'm going straight to Instagram just because that's where it showed up. And my signal here is not the best, so I don't think it's going to happen. It's showing old stuff.
But even if it's not, it'll upload. Supposedly, I read something somewhere. This is a fact. I could find it online somewhere, whatever. I believe this is a fact, that every night, I think between 2 and 3 in the morning, your phone, all of our phones, does a big dump. It uploads a bunch of information to wherever of all the stuff that we looked at, where our location history, all this crap. And every night, how do I know? Sometimes I'm up late at night, I wake up and I see my phone's doing some crazy shit, right? And I'm like, what are they doing with all of my data? And I said to you before we got on, the new gold, the new, it's not oil, it's not gold, it's not precious metals, it's not crypto, it's not cryptocurrency as a creep. It's metadata. Mm-hmm. It's our information, right? It's everything we've looked at, all the places we've been, all the places, all the things.
Any device that could grab every individuals' thoughts, needs, and wants, and have it readily available just like that, and present you products or services that you expressed interest in, and put it right in your face, bro, that's scary, and I gotta say, pretty genius.
Okay, yeah. Let's first talk it up and then let's destroy it, because I agree. Not only is it genius, number one, it's pretty badass the way it's done. Because remember years ago, I'll never forget this. This is a great topic to talk about because I think it's very relevant to anybody listening, and no one's listening. Yeah, who's going to listen to this ever? Wink, wink. I believe that this all started years ago. Do you remember going into like a grocery store? Not like where we work, but and they had the saver cards. Do you remember the saver cards, the little tags at the bottom of your keys? You'd have to swipe.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my wife had enough. It looked like a freaking Rolodex in her key.
Some people had so many.
My wife had it for every store. She had like 20 of them, and I'm like, we're at the store, and she said, "Oh wait, I got a card so I could scan it." And she's like, flipping through, and
it looked like a custodian from an '80s movie where they had all the keys on the keychain, but instead it was little plastic tags, right?
It looked like a Rolodex from the '80s movies that you're looking, for the contacts, and
Are we boomering people? 'Cause it's true.
Yeah, it's like at one point I said, "Babe, won't you just put it in alphabetical order?"
Oh my
you know what
God.
I'm saying? So this way we could find it, and I think she did.
So you know what I'm talking about, right?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I remember people. The idea, for anyone that doesn't know,
it's how would we describe it?
kind of like a preferred shopper's card.
Yes, that if you have this card, you'll save $1 off whatever you're buying, and But nowadays, it's like you could put your phone number in, and it's like this.
You don't even need the card.
Right, exactly.
Right, but it's the same thing. They're building a profile.
Right.
Again, look, I understand what the businesses are doing. When it comes to my thoughts about capitalism, I have conflicting thoughts. I look at capitalism, kind of a little side note here, sidebar. I look at capitalism as a necessary evil. Evil. It's kind of like the tall trees in the forest. If you get rid of all the tall trees in the forest, the sun's going to beat down on this is a bad analogy, but I'm going to go with it. It's going to beat down on all the little trees and all the shrubbery, and it's going to just burn them out to shit, right? Mm-hmm. You need tall trees as a cover, blah, blah, blah analogy. But when you have too many tall trees, the forest is going to, you can't see the forest from the trees. It's not going to give enough light to the, let me get out of that analogy. If all the conglomerates are the ones making all the money and selling all the stuff, there's no small business. There's not enough for the small mom and pops, but the small mom and pops can't invest in technology. They can't invest in, we wouldn't have, hate to say it, hate, we wouldn't have innovations like ATMs, like online banking, for example, coming from the banking industry, if the big boys like Chase didn't invest millions of dollars and took on a tremendous amount of, for them wasn't as much, but for a smaller bank, of loss. I think they said there was like $7, $8, $9 million, maybe the numbers are off, that they lost when they were trying to do, for example, online banking on your phone and be able to take a picture of a check and send it. I think it was Chase, JP Morgan Chase, that took, in Bank of America, they took a big loss in trying to get the technology to work because they knew we're going to have to do this eventually. This is going to be the way of the future. Someone's got to do this. We have the resources and the wherewithal and the money. We could lose $7-8 million in loss. Little bank down the Savings Bank of Danbury or whatever the fuck, Ives Bank or whatever, they can't invest the money in that. So there's a place for the big boys to take that, the chance, right? And do that stuff in order to push forward the technology in the industry. Would you agree? You need the big boys to be able to do that, or else no one's going to invest. It's all going to be mom and pops, and it's going to be 1930s, right?
Yeah,
do you agree with that?
Yeah, if the big banks, Bank of America does it, then Chase immediately has to do it so they could compete.
And they took together, sorry to interrupt, they bring up the technology and they push it forward.
Right. And I don't remember the last time I seen a check. Everything is, so online. But
because of what their innovation, right?
Right.
I don't want to go all the way down. You'll see where I'm coming with this, right? The idea was, from what I'm understanding, the shopping carts was, if the supermarket, one of the toughest things, and we know this from what we do, is adequately stocking the shelves, because you have to guess based on what you've sold, and you don't know when these people tend to buy, and you're like, all right, well, we sold all this meat, we sold all these crackers and whatever. We got to make sure that we have plenty when Monday comes around or whatever. But if we only knew when those people that tend to buy the meat and the crackers tend to shop, we could then, coordinate our deliveries in such a way where we never are short on a lot of stuff. I'm kind of blown through a few things. I'm trying to, this is the abridged version. Long story short, supermarkets get a big benefit of knowing what you bought, when you bought it, and how much. Now they could say, okay, we know Frankie's going to come in on a Monday between 10 and noon, because his shopping habits tell us that from his card. He swiped his card.
Mm-hmm.
We know every time he swipes his card, we give him a few bucks back. But that's market research for us. We know what he's buying, more or less. Mm-hmm. We could adequately, along with all the thousands of other customers, we could adequately stock our shelves. And if we see some of the trends that these customers are doing, we know what new products we could invest in, more or less, that might appeal to these people, right? Would you agree? I mean, do you think, I don't know if you know about I kind of watched some videos and stuff about this in the past.
Yeah, it's
the technology behind this.
Right. And collecting that information and having it, you get the right people, the right algorithm to calculate that information, the time, the dates, average spends over the last month, over the last 3 months. Yep. And suddenly you have really good information to put your business in a position to attract you even more with, what you're buying and, and so on. So in that case, it's priceless information.
I mean, it is, right?
Yeah, and same goes for everything else. For example, like we was just talking about the golf clubs. My phone hears it, and now Instagram is going to put it up, and the stores like Dick's and the other stores that sell golf clubs, they say, okay, here's X amounts. So if this does happen, we want you to put our product in his feed, and and that suddenly is, the circle of, and it's not just golf clubs, it's everything, is medicine, makeup, like absolutely everything.
Well, Frankie, you kind of went a little farther on. You skipped ahead because you're smarter than me. You skipped ahead on what I'm trying to say. I'm building up to that. Let's just go right to it. I'm not a big they guy. The supermarkets, for example, then got copied by the department stores. They started doing the same thing, right? They started offering these deals, but then they started taking it and injecting it with more algorithms and stuff, and now they push it even further. Now they realize that we're carrying these computers with us, these devices that are listening to everything we do, and now even who we email, text, and whatever, Verizon and T-Mobile and all these, they all started getting in the game and started trading information back and forth with all these companies. It's metadata is truly the modern day oil or gold. It is the most profitable thing. And I'm building towards something now that I'm going to get your opinion on this. But to your point, we went from these little tags that were at the end of the now there's no need for that. Everyone already knows where you are. Someone knows that you're here. Someone knows you're drinking I bet there's some company. I bet the company that makes your whiskey knows exactly that they're in the cup. Yeah, by your profile, by what you drink and stuff. You know what I mean?
And
they know.
They show up on my Instagram.
Of course they do.
Because, during the holidays or the party, it's like...
they're very popular during the holidays.
Especially when my brother comes to town. It's like, I don't buy the 12-year-old one. I buy the 18-year-old one because it's...
a particular color.
Yeah, exactly. And it shows up on my Instagram, dude. And it's like...
Do you feel violated by that? After all we just talked about, the benefits, I see the benefit of capitalism. Again, let me wrap this up and then I'm going to shoot it to you. I understand what these companies are doing, profitability, whatever. They have a responsibility to their shareholders to be profitable, blah, 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 blah. But they also want to make sure they don't have waste. They have product that they're, when's the right time to stock product? Because as we learned from COVID in this day and age, it's a just-in-time society for capitalism. In other words, they don't have warehouses out here with 7,000 bottles of the whiskey you drink. They have it overseas or wherever, maybe not the whiskey, but let's say sneakers or whatever. And they go, okay, it's this time of year that Frankie needs to buy golf clubs. Let's ship the golf clubs overseas down to America and get ready for Frankie to come buy the golf clubs, because we know from our metadata that Frankie and about 1,000 other knuckleheads like me are going to want to buy golf clubs around this time of year, so they could show everyone how great they are in the spring and flub a couple shots into the woods and say, but at least I got nice looking clubs, right? If it was just that, I'd be okay with that. I think they've taken it too far. What say you?
If it was just that, that would be a monopoly.
Keep going.
Now suddenly every other product, which is in the millions, are saying, but wait a minute, we got money too. We could pay whatever, so you could put this item in their phone if you hear them speaking about it or considering buying it. Well,
that's what Meta does. They sell
that's
it
exactly
to
what
the highest
did.
bidder.
So
again, that's
do
what
I feel
think.
Violated? I don't like the idea that my phone, that frankly I depend on, is recording my honest conversations with others and using what I'm saying to put products in my face that I may or may not want to see. The fact that they're just listening is enough, because sometimes I don't want nobody to hear me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very particular.
It's your privacy, First Amendment,
Right,
but
exactly.
I'll go to that in a second. How it's not First Amendment. Go on. How they get around it. Go on.
On the other hand, for the businesses, I think it's freaking genius.
I mean, if you're the CEO of a company other than a healthcare company,
if I had access,
bad joke. Sorry,
too soon.
Way too soon.
I'll
edit that out. No.
How to say? Oh man, this is gonna sound awful.
Okay, worse than what I just said.
Oh no, the dude that.
I'm sorry.
Like.
Oh boy, move on. Someone's like the guy with the pearls. He's acting like a jackass. We'll go into the pearls another time. Go, do your thing.
Let's see. If I had the capital to get data of people that just was on a phone call or talking to their friend, I just separated, I just moved out, I am going through this, I feel awful. I see what
you're saying. Yeah.
And that information could come to me, and I know who they are. I have their Instagram, and I will put this podcast there and show what we do. That this is like, brother, we know what you're going through. Just click here and see what you're gonna get. If I had me, and again, I'm not trying to capitalize on somebody's misfortune or vulnerability, but I'll do it for the greater good. It's like, I'm going to help this man before he blows his brains out.
Well, guess what, Frankie? By the way, I agree with you, and that's very magnanimous of you. Guess who has that information? They have it.
Yeah.
Guess who has it? All the social media companies. Mm-hmm. Meta has it by default. Insta, because it's part of Meta. TikTok has it. Mm-hmm. That's why it's going to be banned. The United States is like, I have a whole thing about the TikTok ban and how I don't doubt there's a security issue there, right? We talked about that before. I don't doubt that the Chinese government is whatever. But if it's not the Chinese government that's got all information, it's our government. Yeah. And I'm not equating our government to the Chinese government. I'd rather live here than Beijing. But at the end of the day, I don't want any of them to have my fucking information, right?
Yeah, and I 100% agree. But we are the ones putting our videos, our faces, our bodies online willingly. No, but there's not a gun to our head, and but that's what I want to share. That's what I feel comfortable sharing. What I don't want to share is my personal conversations.
Well, yeah, and where you are, and
exactly,
yeah. And guess what? You're sharing it, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, and you see, and that's the fucked up part. But on the other hand, me being a company, yeah, I will pay for that information. Absolutely, I will.
Maybe one day we might and get this podcast out to people, but it's kind of messed up. What you're saying is so true. The information's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Meta, for example, the company that owns Facebook, the umbrella, or Alphabet, the company that owns Google and YouTube, the whole deal. They have complex algorithms and vaults of information of all of us. We have no right to even tell them to delete it. Even though we have a right to privacy in the real world with the First Amendment, that's a key tenet. I have the right in this country, per the First Amendment, the most important amendment for a reason, which we believe in here. Do we not? The First Amendment?
Of course. This
is a safe space to talk. This is my soapbox for 10 seconds. This is a safe space to talk. We're not going to agree on everything together. We're going to, go back and forth. But we agree we both have the right to say something. We both have the right to not say something should we choose.
Mm-hmm.
That is, say it with me, our right to privacy.
Right.
The problem is that right is not extended online. Because in the same way that someone cannot put an eavesdropping device at our work and eavesdrop on us all day long, they should not be able to do that with our fucking phone.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah.
Do you agree? You just said you agree, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine if I take all that stuff that's going on with our phones, our computers, everything, and it's real life. In other words, there's someone walking around with you, following you everywhere you flip and go. They're writing everything down. They're taking all the notes. They're eavesdropping on you. And again, I don't have proof. Please. I mean, we have proof. That's against the Constitution, right? You cannot, and if I don't want you to have that information, it's my right. You cannot violate that. Me as a human being, as the X, we talk about X plus Y equals Z, the X. The second we go online, gone. That right is gone because we agreed to the terms and conditions that no one reads. And if you don't read it and don't click on it, you can't use the service. There's no alternative. There's no way I could use Facebook in a way that doesn't violate the out of my rights. Right? G-Talk.
Mm-hmm.
G-Talk. I have a new sound.
Mm-hmm.
There's not an alternative where I could say, no, I don't agree to that. I don't want you to retain that stuff. Or I want you to delete that stuff at the end of the year. Nope. I can't use Facebook. They determine my experience and they determine my rights. So if they want to collect and share that stuff with another company, like you said, to your point, even if it's for good use, someone that could benefit from mental health, whatever, like a podcast, whatever, that's great. We'd still have to pay their ass. Mm-hmm. We'd still have to give them money. They're still making money off of it. Yay, Facebook. But at the end of the day, there is not a digital bill of rights, which is, I'm building up to it. 58 minutes, 34 seconds in. If we have a bill of rights in this country that protects us, regardless of what state we're in, as long as you're an American here in the States, the Bill of Rights applies to you, right?
Well, yeah, and with that said, just like Facebook, and you got to agree to the terms of service,
or else you don't use it,
or else you don't use it. So they give you an option.
They don't.
Well, they did, because it's like, don't use us. They said
that's a monopoly, because if I do that with YouTube, I can't watch a video anywhere else. That's a monopoly.
Well, there are other media companies, but again, they all gonna say, you got to agree to our terms, and nobody's gonna read that because who has 2 years to waste reading that.
Have you ever read the terms on the cell phone contracts?
Dude, I don't even read the warning signs to put up a ceiling fan. You know what I'm saying? I don't read the I don't have time to show me step 1, step 2, and like the warning signs, and I'm like, I don't got time
Konya,
for that
I need
shit.
to be cold. I need to get this fan up. I don't care about the warnings. Go on, Konya.
Yeah. Well, step 1, okay, boom, boom, and if I got electrocuted, then it's I should have read the warnings. But
As my mom would say in Portuguese, bem feito. You know what that means? It's
bem feito.
Yeah, it's you deserved it.
Oh.
Bem feito. Well done. You deserved it. Dum dum.
So
But go on. Tell me.
But yeah, like for example, you're gonna go to a certain restaurant. Jacket and tie is required.
Okay.
You don't have to go to that restaurant, but if you want to, you gotta have to agree to their terms.
Here's the problem there, Frankie. There's thousands of other restaurants.
Right.
There's only so many. Like ready? TikTok, if it gets banned,
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why I don't agree to the TikTok ban, even though I understand the security things behind it, and the ByteDance is basically a Chinese company that is it's Chinese company. It's a private company supposedly, but what the State Department is saying essentially is that the Chinese government at any time could come in and swoop in and grab that metadata, figure it out what you're doing, and if you're someone's important in the U.S. government, they know where you are, they know your influences, they know how to get you, right? The problem is when Facebook is gone, or excuse me, TikTok is gone, you've just eliminated a massive player in the game. That's like if T-Mobile just went away, now all those people have to go to either Verizon or what's the other service? It's Verizon
AT&T,
or AT&T or whatever. There's only a few.
Mm-hmm.
And if for every big tree that falls in the woods, the other tree gets bigger, right? And it becomes more powerful, and it gets more of that information, and we become more enslaved to it. So I understand what you're saying about the restaurants. Trust me, I get it. I think you make a great point. But in the reality in the world that we live in with digital, there's only one place to go for video. It's YouTube. Most people don't use Bing. They use Google, same company that owns YouTube, Alphabet. Google powers all the search engines for all the other websites and stuff. Facebook they bought Instagram years ago. They have the #1 social media empire. Excuse me. And what I'm trying to say is there's no alternative. There's just, I don't go to MySpace. We are being trapped in a situation where even if we do agree to the terms or we don't agree to the terms, and you say, well, then don't use it. Well, then what else am I going to use? That's a monopoly. And to me, that's something where antitrust needs to come in, or at the very least, a digital bill of rights to protect you and me as citizens and people online. That would not work in the real world physically, but somehow digitally it works.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's a really good point.
Think about your kids in this situation.
Yeah, and sadly, digital bill of rights, regrettably, is not in the forecast.
Oh no, nowhere soon.
No. I can't.
One day.
It's possible that one day is like, okay, wait a minute, because this revolutionized the world.
Oh,
and there has to be some kind of laws to protect people that use the service to, like, for example, social media, Instagram, whatever, and yeah, they have terms of use. I don't know a single person
Nobody reads it
that read 2 sentences of that, because you scroll down and look, and it's like, oh, fuck this. I'm just going to agree.
Click the box and move
yeah.
on. Let me go set up my profile and spread the G-Talk everywhere I can, right?
Yeah, and I didn't have, my TikTok is less than a year old. I because of the Chinese shit and all that, I was like, I don't know if I want it. And then I surrendered one day. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's
get on there.
I never put a picture up or anything. But I was able to watch movies. I was able to follow fitness videos.
Are you user 1946505 so that you could just kind of go into anyone's thing? I learned that trick recently.
Yeah, so
a burner account. That's funny. But do you understand what I'm saying, Frankie? Like, I understand what if you don't agree with the conditions and stuff. I've had friends say to me, here's my point. I would argue, and I talk about this on some little pods I recorded on my own, talking to myself, I guess, whatever. just to kind of memorialize my thoughts, that for the most part, I would argue that we human beings, the physical human beings, have more of a presence online than we do in person. In other words, the amount of time that, especially my kids, your kids, the amount of time they're spending online, whether they're playing Xbox Live or whatever, where they're interacting with other people, the other people are real people. I'm not saying they're bots. It's not where I'm going. But we're all interconnected now. The most connected we've ever been as a society, as a world. I'll leave that there. Even though we're all alone and we feel lonely, it's a whole other thing. Our mental stability, mental health is in ruins. My point is, our presence is probably greater online, right, than in person. So let's say, you ready for this scenario? We take 24 hours in a day. Let's give everyone the benefit of the doubt and give them 8 hours of sleep. Make this easy, right? So they're asleep for 8 hours, right, as the phone listens to them snore. They go to work for 8 hours, right? The phone's listening to work, and they're on the phone, whatever. And let's say for the other 8 hours, right? And this is a very bare minimum. So I know people that are online for 16 hours. They're just on it all the effing time. They playing video games, surfing the internet, whatever, right? And I fear my kids are going to be going down that path because it's that addictive. Let's say for the other 8 hours when they're not at work, right, or they're not sleeping, they're online. That's a third of your existence. Or half of your existence awake, where your existence is happening electronically, digitally, not physically. And I could argue easily, you might have greater impact online. Let's say if you have a very popular channel or a very popular, you offer something like you're a podcast or whatever, but we're not protected online the way we are in person. And eventually, and if I think we're there now, we're going to hit a wall where what you just said is true, where you have no choice. Go somewhere else and use it, whatever. But Frankie, there's no other choices. And what am I going to do for those 8 hours? I can't go play with my friends. If I don't agree to if I don't agree to Xbox, I'll go to PlayStation. Well, guess what? All the attorneys that work for those companies wrote the same nonsense. It's the same garbage.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Same thing.
And regrettably, online, now that I think about it, is mostly like that for anything that you're going to put information or enter information. It has a similar terms of service.
They're all the same.
Everything. If for example, I download the app to the company of my credit card, I got to agree to their terms of service.
Yeah.
Just so I could do my, pay my card online or in the app. For my regular bank, I got to agree to the terms of service so I could do my online banking.
Where they could retain your information. They could trade it potentially if they want. They could banks are guilty of that. I worked at a bank for 15 years. I won't even dignify the shitty bank that I worked for. Great people, shitty bank. You can put any name of a bank there. They're all shitty. I don't think this country needs more banks. It needs less banks. But they retain all the information. If they want to sell it to a mortgage company to let to solicit you, if they want to sell it to whatever, they do it. That's how they make money, because everything's free now. It doesn't, either they make money off of whether or not you do a loan or investments with them, whether or not you do one of their business cash management products or some nonsense, or whether or not you screw up and you get like 3 overdraft fees and they give you one back. Oh, you're a good customer. They keep the other 2, right? There's limited ways to make money. So they sell your data, even though they say they don't. And even Facebook, for example, they're very clever. And this is my opinion. I'm going to disclaimer here. But from what I've gathered, my opinion, Facebook is not selling my data directly to a company. For example, a mortgage company. What they're telling the mortgage company, essentially, my guess, can't sue me, my guess, I'm just a dipshit that does a podcast, whatever, that wears pearls. They're going to a company, my guess, and saying, hey, you want to promote your mortgage product? Okay. We can't give you the names of the people that, but we know the demographic. We know exactly who's in line for a house, who just got married, who has been talking about on their threads about houses and mortgage rates and stuff. We won't give you their name, but we'll conveniently drop your ad in their feed. We're going to conveniently make sure they know about your company.
Right. And what company will not agree to that? That is the easiest form of advertisement.
Welcome to capitalism. But Frankie, is it right? How does that protect my rights? You're essentially getting around the whole protection of my privacy by guaranteeing that they're going to be put in front of me. Some people might say, well, bullshit, because that's no different than putting a menu in front of you of a restaurant that has some ads around it. No big deal. You look at the ads or you don't. I get it. Mm-hmm. This is not the same thing. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. This is much more violating, in my opinion. And you're taking my information that I was forced to agree to give to you, metadata. There's no way I could use Facebook I can't use Facebook in a generic way where I just log in and just go search through. No, they got to know my friends and my families and my contacts, where I work, my college, blah, 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 blah. It's like, pardon me, I'm going to do it in advance. It's like they're giving me a rectal exam of my information and just like, whoop, and they got all the stuff they need to build an experience for me, but better yet, a profitable experience for their advertisers. Mm-hmm. And that's where the money's at, not my experience necessarily.
Yeah, it's a lot easier for a company to hire a company like that's going to drop ads on the feeds of its users depending on what they're trying to purchase or what's in their future of what they want to do.
Right.
And it's much easier to say, okay, here's X amounts, and we'll give you like 1% of our profit as a little added bonus, just for an incentive to you to just make sure that anybody that mentions these names in their feeds, that you drop our ads in it. And that'll be a lot cheaper than to make a commercial and put it in during the Sunday night football game advertising your product. Because it's cheaper, and it's also aimed specifically for the person in the business side, for that particular company that is trying to sell the service or product. It makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you do it? I think is the smartest way to advertise your product, because it's going to the consumer that you're marketing to.
At what cost, other than, I don't mean the literal cost, at what cost though, Frankie, to my privacy? And they're invading my space.
It's now it is the social media company. They're, again, agree to our terms, so you don't have to use us. And you can't see your friends online. You could text them if you want, or you could, hang out with them and go old school. You know what I'm saying? Go to the bar on a Friday night and hang out.
Imagine your hospital says, agree to our terms or don't come here.
But
where else are you going to go? The Minute Clinic? If your arm's cut off, you need to. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying.
No,
Facebook.
The hospital protects your privacy. There's HIPAA laws that.
Do they?
If you could give me an example, I'm all ears.
They do the same thing.
How so?
The same. Again, my guess. The same way Facebook. They don't. To the pharmaceutical companies. No. To all the stuff. They share all that shit.
The HIPAA laws. You're more protected there than protective custody, as far as that's concerned. I have a few friends in the industry, and I mean that information is just as important as the patient that you're trying to save their life.
Here's the problem, Frankie, and this is where we'll have to revisit this, and we'll move on from the subject, because I think this is brilliant. Let me say it in a different way. Let's say I've got a bingo hall, and there's 100 people in the bingo hall, mm-hmm. and I'm trying to serve them beer. This is a bad analogy, and I want to see how many people can buy. But I'm not going to get the information of all the people specifically that got beers. But I know 40 of them in this hall are going to buy beer, but I don't know who. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's different ways I could market to people as they come in through the door to make sure they know that there's beer sold here, and it might be the beer that I heard that most of these people like. In other words, just like the hospital, this is a bad analogy, very bad analogy. hospitals aren't selling your information, but they're aggregating. They're in the aggregate. They're taking all the information for all their patients, all the drugs, all the stuff, and they're pushing it out in the same way Facebook. That's the way Facebook gets around it. My guess that Facebook gets around it where they're not sending my particular information to a company. They're telling the company, I know, guarantee I could get you your product in front of 100,000 people for a fee, a nominal fee. I guarantee, based on the information we have, we're not going to show you that information. I guarantee these nameless, faceless people are going to see your product, and you're going to get your sales funnel is going to be better than if you did it on your own. Again, I'm redlining when it comes to information about hospitals. I kind of didn't want to go there, so I'll take your word for it on that. But I kind of, let me do some research, because every company conglomerate, especially these health systems, they make money through trading information and through intertwining with the pharmaceutical companies and making sure that they know exactly.
If
you know what I'm saying?
If it's somebody that needs Viagra or something, I could see that. If it's somebody that has these you see these commercials, depression, talk to your doctor about this pill. Talk to
don't get me started on drug commercials.
You know what I'm saying? So
massive violation.
That is anything going on with that. Again, I don't have enough knowledge to speak intelligently of it. But what I do know that I feel comfortable saying is that a hospital will not sell your information. It's like their absolute most sacred rule per HIPAA laws. Like it needs to be honored. And when you work in the hospital, you are trained. Your first 5 days or whatever of training is the HIPAA laws. Like if there's anything with a patient name, address, date of birth, anything like that, even their insurance card, it needs to be shredded immediately.
But Frankie, here's the thing. The same thing. There's a privacy information law for banks as well. It's no different than HIPAA. It's just a different type of information. Banks get around that shit all the time.
Yeah, but
I just told you how they do it.
Right, but I think health and for-profit business are two different things.
Well, guess what? A hospital's a for-profit business. It's not run by the state.
It's not run by the state, but is in the business of saving lives.
No, it's not.
It's of course it is.
No, it's not. It's in business of making money.
Okay, I mean, if you don't have money and you got a gunshot wound, they're still going to tend to you.
Right, but
I mean, they'll give you a bill afterwards, but
of course they will. But look what happened in COVID. Bunch of hospitals either went under or got bought by bigger conglomerates because they weren't making money, because they were too busy with COVID patients. And then that's where the government came in and started giving them money to take these COVID patients, because they realized they couldn't do heart surgeries, ACL surgeries. They couldn't do all the stuff that makes the money. They were treating COVID patients. So the government came in and essentially told them, you know what? We need you to operate and do your thing and save lives. We're going to give you money to the patient. Just tell us the patients. And there was a conspiracy theory that I don't know if I believe, that some hospitals were instantly going, they have COVID. Get that money from the government. We're treating a COVID patient.
Man, I really hope that's not true.
Again,
I
speculative.
Really hope that's not true.
We could look it up. I don't have time to do it now. But
yeah, but we're not going to do that now. But
it's rampant conspiracy theory.
I remember, during COVID, especially in New York, they had to put not trucks, a morgue outside the hospital.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the refrigerated trucks.
Yeah, and it got up to 400 a day of people dying. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the building where I live, where I grew up, 2 people passed away the same week. Somebody that I knew that I grew up with their kids, her dad went to the hospital, never came back home, never had a funeral, they never said goodbye. That was it. That's
sad, and I apologize. I'm not even going to talk about that, right?
The hospital. It was a pandemic, so people that had scheduled heart surgeries and everything. It's like, okay, we know you need this, but we have 1,200 patients walking in every 2 hours.
But Frankie, here's the deal. What I'm trying to say is, people think that, I'm not accusing you of thinking this, But people that I've interacted with really think that the hospitals are no different than fire departments and police departments, where they're truly there to protect you. And I'm not saying the hospitals don't do that. The nurses and doctors are amazing people. This is not a referendum on them. But it's a fact that conglomerate hospitals, and we have a conglomerate in this town right now, a health system that's eaten up so many of it's a money-making operation. And they're there to help people. But if you start looking at what they bill to insurance and then what they bill to the individuals, it's redonkulous, the amount of money in health. And I'm not going to go down the world of pharmaceuticals, whatever. That's a whole other pod. I have opinions. I'd love to hear yours on that. My point is this. They're not state-sponsored. They're not like the local fire department. They are private companies, say it with me, that have a responsibility to make profit, especially if they have shareholders. And a lot of these companies, I believe, have shareholders, and they are legally responsible to make profit for those shareholders and profit over people. And the way they're doing it is however they can. They're no different, some of these hospital conglomerates, than Meta, than Macy's, than Chevy. They're not here for the greater good to try to help you and me, whatever. That is an offshoot of what they do, but they're here to make money.
I would say that I know for a fact for example, if you go to an emergency room, just walking in the door is $800.
What they bill you, but what they bill the insurance is thousands of dollars.
But the thing is that's just to take your name. That's
they might not save you.
No, I mean, they don't know what's wrong with you. That's just to take you. You just walked in there. So, okay, it's $800 emergency room fee. Then is this, and this. Yeah. But it's like $800 emergency room fee. And, so again, I think it's fucking sad to be honest with you. I think it's pathetic. Anybody that ever got into, medicine for money, I mean, I get it, to get your MCATs and to study medicine for all those years, you do invest a lot of money and a lot of time, and yeah, you should make money, saving people's lives and everything. Sure. But I mean, I don't think it should be the ultimate, motivation for, because if you could save somebody's life, a little girl that, whatever, you saved her from cancer, dude, there's no money that is going to give you the satisfaction of saving a kid's life,
But Frankie, if you're a doctor and you're not part of these conglomerate healthcare systems and you're an independent doctor,
I mean, again,
you got to keep the lights on and you feel good about saving that young lady. But if you ain't getting paid, how long are you going to be a doctor for?
Well, I think St. Jude in New York is
the cancer clinic, right?
Yes.
Or not clinic, but
it's like a cancer hospital for kids.
Right.
They don't charge their patients anything,
and which is, I think they're amazing. They privately funded by donors and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember when I used to work at my previous company, I used to donate $10 every paycheck to them. I mean, it's not a lot, but I admire so much what they do. It's like, I know it's not a lot, but something.
I'm not talking about St. Jude.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm not talking about
Christ,
St. Jude.
I just want to believe in fucking humanity one time. You know what I'm saying?
My friend. Go on, keep going, because I'm not trying to pull us to a dark area.
Yeah, I know. The thing is that I don't know if I'm getting red in camera, but I am getting angry.
It's frustrating, is it not?
It's like, and I know it's not the doctors and nurses because, I know a lot of nurses in the hospital here in town, and they are genuinely caring people.
They'll give their own lives and sleep for 3 days if they have to.
Yeah.
To do. Right. No, I'm not talking about that.
And just to think. And again, I don't have enough knowledge to speak intelligently.
Neither do I.
Of what goes on there, but it can be frustrating for me, and just because
you sound like you have a lot of people that either are or were in the industry, and they're giving themselves up, especially during COVID and whatever. And I could see it in your face. But Frankie, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about their bosses' bosses. I'm talking about what runs all that crap. The fact that they're charging you $40 for a goddamn Tylenol, right? When we have pain medication. Mm-hmm. that's insurance issues. That's the whole, and I don't want to go down that road where an hour 24 in.
Jesus.
There's a couple of things we want to talk about.
Yeah, we need to make a hard left here.
Yeah, I want to go light here. But we're just two G's talking. And this is something that's, some of the bills that I've gotten for my kids and stuff. I'm not saying that the doctors don't deserve to get paid that money, but if I was paying that money directly to just the doctors that treated my kids, it would be a bargain.
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm paying it to the effing conglomerates, the health systems that are the R word. They're being all these people, right, of funds and money, and then sending you to collections and all this stuff. It's like, bitch, I just want to live. And yet you're sending me a bill for $20,000 for something. It's like, what am I supposed to do here? Who's getting this $20,000? Is it you, the CEO of? Now, listen, I'm not going to go to the United Healthcare thing. That was a bad joke, and I apologize to anyone that no one's listening. But at the same time, do you understand why some people get so frustrated they would take some really psychotic action against it? I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that there's people out there that are suffering, that whatever, not defending it, please, not trying to make a point to try to whatever. It's a fact. And it's not just relegated to healthcare. It's not just relegated to Meta. It's not just relegated to grocery stores or banks. It's all of capitalism in this country. It's like it needs a reset. Not a reset, but a recalibration. And we started this conversation with the interchange of data, right? That's how we started it, right? We started with little tags at the supermarket. We got all the way to health systems and all COVID and stuff. Let me put a bow on that and then let you have the last word on that. I just think it's money, money, money. How we can get more and more money, 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 money. This capitalistic society, capitalism is not bad. I'm not anti-capitalist. I'm anti-over-capitalism, where these big-ass companies are just taking more and more. How many private doctors are there out there anymore? There's very few. It's very difficult to be a private doctor and have to deal with all the insurance. Trust me, I've worked for a doctor for years, an eye doctor, and I learned all the ins and outs, the tricks with trying to submit to insurance, and how sometimes you got to say that you did a few things, but you really didn't. Or sometimes you did a bunch more things and you can't submit for it, and you take the loss on that. I'm not going to say it's underhanded, but they're getting slick, these doctors. And I'm thinking of one in Richfield, Connecticut, a good friend of mine who taught me the ways of the insurance game when it comes to that. And I don't blame him. He's like, well, listen, these conglomerates they're not willing to pay me. I gave the customer or the patient the service and they're better. I need to get paid. So I'm going to keep submitting. I'll figure a way around it. And it becomes a cat and mouse game. It's ridiculous. Insurance billing is a whole other conversation. I guess what I'm trying to say is, in the same way we're not being protected online with our information, with our health system, we're not being protected there either. It's all profit. If I'm not profitable, they don't give a damn about me. And as long as someone's getting paid, they'll serve me. But if someone ain't getting paid, off you go, kid. Here's a $40 Tylenol. Hope that pain goes away. Eat your veggies and hopefully don't get hit by a truck. What say you before we move on? An hour and 27 minutes in.
I say let's move on.
It's such a dark topic.
Yeah.
So do you want to go funny or do you want to go?
I need to laugh.
Okay. Okay. Here, I'm going to give you a bad joke.
You're going to give me a bad joke. I said I need to laugh, dude.
You ready? Here, you ready? I'm going to tell you something real stupid. Oh, this is dumb. What's the name of this song? The person says, you need to calm down. I am calm. Just tell me the name of the song. You need to calm down. I told you, I'm perfectly calm. Now, what is the name of the song? You need to calm down. Where are you yelling at me? And so, oh shit. Nah, whatever. That's dumb. I wanted to do a bad dad joke, and I got the worst dad joke on earth. What the hell is that all about?
I'll give you one.
Go for it. Tell me a good joke.
It's not really a joke. I guess it's kind of a joke. It's like something you were just saying right now.
Yeah.
We're in a race. I'm in second place. You come and pass me. What place are you in?
I would be in first.
We're in a race. I'm in second place. You pass me. What place are you in?
I'm in second place.
That didn't take too long.
Oh, my God. I'm such a dumb.
It's okay because people online are saying, no, you're in first place. And
That's clever because if I pass you, there's someone ahead of you.
yeah.
Oh my God.
But that didn't take you so long. There's some people,
They take it forever.
I repeated it up to 8 or 9 times.
Oh my God. Here. Let me do funny riddles. This is so dumb to end like that, but I'm praying that we could lighten the mood off after this.
Yeah, keep the camera over there for a sec while I.
Oh, hold on. I got it on you. Hold on. Oh, this is terrible. This is not even a riddle. This is a bad joke. Why is Europe like a frying pan?
Why is Europe like a frying pan? I don't know.
Because Greece is at the bottom.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Dude.
No, going you. Here's another. Oh, God. What tastes better than it smells? Your tongue. Last one, and then we'll move on. We'll end on sports. Oh my God, this is so dumb. What has 4 wheels and flies? A garbage truck.
Oh boy.
Let's end on sports and liven this up a little bit. So, you're a Jets fan.
No, let me ask you a question.
Go
quick.
for it. Yeah, please.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Oh my God.
Like all-time favorite comedian?
I mean, so many of them. I Ron White is one.
I love Ron White.
He's excellent. I love Jim Gaffigan. I love him.
Yeah.
I love Bill Burr, Richard Carlin, or was it Richard Carlin or Carlin? The one that was very
George Carlin.
George Carlin, not Richard Carlin. George Carlin, like all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What's yours? I like Gabriel Iglesias. I think he's fabulous.
Oh yeah, I love Fluffy. I think my all-time favorite comedian has to be Greg Giraldo.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's good. He's sharp.
He was a lawyer.
How do you go from lawyer to comedy?
He graduated from Harvard Law School.
You got to be smart to be able to do comedy.
And he oh goodness, between him, Dave Chappelle.
Oh yeah. Yeah, add him to the list.
Bill Burr, I think, is a genius.
You've talked about Bill Burr quite a few times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen him in person?
I have not seen him. I would love to see him in person.
He has a show that he recorded at Red Rocks in Colorado. I think we talked about that. It is brilliant. He just goes up there and he's just like, oh, with his Boston accent. He's just walking back and forth on the stage. Similar to how Chris Rock, another comedian that I love, just going across the stage back and forth and just barking out jokes and stuff. I don't see a lot of comedians in person, though. There's no one, unless you go into New York City or whatever, which I never do. I don't think I've seen a comedian in person in years.
Yeah,
to get that energy in person, it's I see it on Netflix all the time. There's a couple of guys on there. There's a guy, is it Nick Bargatze or something? He was on SNL, and he did a skit that's so brilliant. It's a George Washington skit where they're coming to the New World here, and it's George Washington, or not coming to the New World, whatever, during the American Revolution. And he talks about all this kind of stuff. And I love comedians that don't laugh at their own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're very dry, and they kind of sit there and they're just kind of like I feel like the most successful comedians for me are the ones that are confident in their own material. You're laughing your ass off, and they're just kind of like, I'll move on. I'm unimpressed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, who's your favorite comedian of all time? It's not Big Fluffy, right?
It has to be Greg Giraldo.
It is Greg Giraldo.
It is because the things it's not that. Right, so he used to have a lot of problems with his wife. And,
now I see why.
So he used to make jokes about it to deal with it, and I thought it was so brilliant.
Do you remember any jokes that you could tell that you could do? You won't do a disservice to?
Okay, he was talking about a man in Texas, which happened to be a true story.
Okay, when you start any joke with Florida man or Texas man.
Yeah.
It's a good start.
He is 32 years old, and at the age of 32, he was hit by lightning 5 times.
Oh, for God's sake.
True story. I think it came out in the paper. Guess who got hit by lightning again? Hit by lightning 5 times and lived.
Is he made of metal or something?
I don't know, but
what does that feel
at
like?
32, he got married, and 6 months later committed suicide.
What?
God.
I guess he didn't feel the same.
God couldn't kill him.
But a woman could.
Send in the experts. And that was a joke, and I was like, holy shit, that is so funny. You know what I'm saying?
Send in the experts. That's awesome.
I thought that was genius. I thought that was absolutely genius. Because he
brilliant.
He takes a joke, and whatever the punchline is, he'll hit it 10 times with a different punchline.
That's fabulous. We could end on this. It's like I said, we're almost towards the end, but I think the life of a comedian. I've thought about doing comedy, stand up one day. Would you ever do stand up comedy?
I'm working to try to get 5 minutes, and
that's tough. 5 minutes is tough.
Yes, you don't know how long 5 minutes is until you got to speak for 5 minutes and
or
try
an hour
to make
and a
people
half.
Well, here we're just talking, not trying to make people laugh. We got jokes here and there, but trying to make people laugh for 5 minutes straight is not something easy.
That's difficult, especially if you get 2 minutes and they're not saying a damn thing.
Yeah. So to me, it was like, the what I could relate to the most is getting older and relationships.
Yeah.
Because I could make fun of my relationship, and I could.
And it's cathartic. It's healthy.
Yeah,
right?
And I could make fun about getting older. Like I'll never forget when I turned. I think when I turned 40, I had a big party in my house, and the following morning, I'm Dominican, so the party continues in the morning.
I'm Dominican. We're up all night.
It's maybe about 9ish, and I had some champagne. I'm like, ooh, mimosa time. And I open the fridge. I go to get the mimosa, and my back locks.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, oh, shit. Is this how it happens? Like, there's no warning? You're just going to be crippled and like once you hit 40? And like, I was freaking out.
You go from suave or whatever, a silk, to you are just dry as a stone.
It scared the hell out of me because I was like, okay, I knew 40 was a different, a new journey. I didn't know it was going to start like this. Like I had to lay down on the couch and I'm like, babe, like, I don't know what to do. And I was like that for about an hour and then it went away. But
let me ask you a question. So is that one of your goals? You'd want to do 5 minutes?
I would
like an open mic?
I would love to do 5 minutes.
Here, I'm going to do a thing with you. You ready? And I'll cheers on this one. If you ever get the balls to do 5 minutes, I'll do the next 5 minutes after you.
Really?
I've always wanted to do it an open mic, like 5 minutes. I have some ideas. But do you write your stuff down? Or do you think about it?
I wish I could write it down because normally I'm in the car and I think about some, like, for example, one time, and this one I will never forget because it made me laugh to this day. My aunt is an older lady. She has a brand new Androids. And she hates it because she doesn't know how to use it. She's used to the rotary phone.
Yeah.
Okay. And I say rotary phone and, purposely. And she's trying to dial a number and she calls my sister. She said, this phone's stupid. It don't work. Look, I dialed the number and it's not working. Can you help me? And my sister takes the phone. She says, Tia, this is the calculator. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's not... I don't know if that's funny enough to say on stage.
If you put it in the right spot.
Yes, you got to organize it in a way. And
it's kind of like, hey, I write down my jokes, but it gets tough to read them after because, the notebook is always getting wet. I get my best jokes in the shower.
Like, did you see?
I just made that one up, by the way.
Did you see the roast of Tom Brady?
That was brilliant. You know who do you remember who the best one was there?
Nikki
Glaser.
Dude.
Oh my God. What's the right? I wanted an explosion. She nailed it.
Dude, I don't know if anybody counted, but she was doing a punchline every 8 to 12 seconds.
That's a lot of jokes.
Do you know how hard it is to do that, like 8 to 10 seconds.
That's difficult.
Dude, oh my goodness. When she said, oh yeah, I hate your jokes more than Kevin Hart hates high fives.
Or, and speaking of crypto, it's like, even Gronk knows it. That's not real money.
Me
It's like,
know that's not real money.
Me know that's not.
Like, he thinks Bitcoin is chewing on a bunch of nickels. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. But that's the thing. Comedy's not easy, bro. It's like you get to understand how long 5 minutes is.
mm-hmm.
She was up there maybe for 8 minutes, right?
Yeah, she was there for a while. She
was zinger after zinger
Yeah.
after zinger. And the whole audience, or the whole dais was like, she was like, pew, 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 pew. She was killing it.
Dude,
She blew it up.
I've seen just about every single roast of every single person, and that's why Greg Giraldo is one of my favorite comedians.
He's a great roast guy.
He was the best. You know, Jeff Ross is
He's the roast master. Yeah.
but
well earned nickname. Yeah.
yeah, but he wasn't even in the same class as Greg Giraldo.
All right, so let's here. Come on. If you do 5 minutes, I guarantee I'll do 5 minutes. We'll find an open mic.
Yeah.
I'm gonna toast to it.
You know what's my goal, and something we're gonna talk about when we go our first episode.
Go
live,
on.
is to do my 5 minutes in 2025, and I'm going to put a deadline of April 2025. I will have 5 minutes, and what I want the most is I want to make fun of my separation. I'm gonna make that shit funny.
Okay.
I don't know how, because it was the darkest moment of my life. I'm gonna try to find a way to make it funny.
Well, listen, this is a great way to end. We have 2 minutes away from the hour of love. 1 hour and 43 minutes. We're at 1:41. Do you want to say something else to Juan Soto? I think we're good. I think you said enough to Juan Soto. But I think you're right. Honestly, all the stuff we talk about on the G Talk, God, government, guys, girls, relation, that's all. You can make jokes about it.
Yeah.
I mean, so if you take all the stuff that we're going to talk about on the pod and you take little notes here and there, and you take you know how many jokes you've already made here? I mean, I don't mean the jokes you just told, but about all the stuff in the past 6 pods. If you take the best ones and you kind of disseminate them into, I think the key to being a good comedian, or just a comedian where you could captivate people for 5 minutes, is linking those non sequitur jokes or those thoughts in a way that relates to people, and they could kind of come with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you're telling just random jokes and you're spitfiring them, even when you're on a roast stage, different story, because you're going from one person to the next person. But the brilliance of Nikki Glaser was she was coming back and smacking people again with the jokes. Like, you could tell she thought, like, I could see her standing in front of a freaking mirror practicing that stuff, and like a boss, you know. And she's kind of cute. I don't know. It was kind of cool seeing a chick like destroying all the men, and I'm like, you're good, bro. Challenge accepted. I want to do it.
Yeah,
I want to do it.
And I'm gonna really try my best. And you know, Chris Rock.
That's how we did it.
Chris Rock said he would take somebody's joke and break it apart as if it was a Lego, and then try to put it back together. And
what a great analogy.
And I found that interesting. And Chris Rock, at his time, was like one of the best comedians out there. And I think it was even before Chappelle, because he came out with Bigger and Blacker, which one of the funniest jokes he's ever said was, and again, he says what sells the tickets in the theaters is when you talk about relationships, because
always
couples go to the show, and if you could say a joke that they could relate to, you know, suddenly, you know, you won them over and they'll come see you again. And one of the funniest things he said, and I'm glad this won't make it to YouTube, but just between us.
Oh, you don't think it'll make it to YouTube?
No, because I would use it when we're talking about our relationship and stuff. It's like, who's the biggest liar in a relationship, a man or a woman?
Oh boy.
And of course it's the man. You know what I'm saying? The man lies the most. You know, they are going to Ricky's house, but they're really going to Matt's house, and they just say they're going to Ricky's house because the wife doesn't like Matt. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like little lies like that. But women says the biggest lies
Go
women
on.
be like, "It's your baby."
And you're like, no, it's Matt's.
And it's like, but it's true. It's like, yeah, women, you know how many, you ever seen the Maury Show?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Shit.
You are not the father. It's like, Frankie, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Wait,
I didn't know you had that in you.
dude, it's a passion of mine.
That you would get up on stage and do that?
It's a
Bro.
passion of mine. And in North Carolina,
Let's go.
they had
I'm impressed.
a class, 8 or 10 week class for an hour and a half once a week, that it will teach you how to take your whatever happened in your day and make it funny.
Bro, we're doing this.
And then at the end, you graduate by doing 5 minutes in the club.
Kind of like a public speaking class, right? You kind of build to a certain.
No, it's how to create a joke.
No, but I'm saying it's like almost like if you've ever taken a public speaking class, you build towards doing the thing, a speech in front of people.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly. And they said, it's going to be a supportive group. So even if the joke is not all that, people still going to chuckle. So you don't.
You're right.
So and I applied for that class, but the thing is that they were sold out like that.
I love it.
Those 10 weeks and the following 10 weeks, and then I think I forgot to reach out to them again.
Yeah.
But
well, you've put it out there now. We're gonna do it. I
Yeah.
like it. We're an hour 45. I'll play us out. Bro, I'm excited. I wish we had talked about this earlier. I would have liked to have talked about jokes and creating jokes than freaking healthcare and meta. F meta.
yeah.
But seriously.
No, Daniel Tosh.
Oh my God, I love Daniel Tosh.
Yo, he's so funny. He was talking about something. He says, and this dude, met this guy. His name is John, Jon, the dumbest of all Johns.
I don't want to. I think he's popping up on my TikTok a lot because I keep liking all the different things. He's the master of the most inappropriate joke you've ever heard. Where at the end he's like, "Oh, come on!" Like he throws it back on the audience, like, "Oh, it's true." Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I love that. Hey, we got a minute, kid. What's one of the things you want to say, man? This is number 6.
This is number 6.
I think we dropped some interesting knowledge. Again, it can't all be shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But
how do you want
to end this?
Let's end this by the way we always do. You know what I'm saying? Gentlemen, stay strong, and we'll see you next week.
Well, you know what? I like that. Oh, no, wrong thing. Hold on. Come on. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Pretty soon we're going to be going live.
Yeah.
And when we do, maybe you'll do 5 minutes of jokes. Maybe we'll need to practice, and maybe at the end you could go live and do some jokes.
Yeah, well, we have a couple weeks left before we go live, so we'll practice each pod from here going forward.
I like that. And then you'll go out with a bang.
Go out with a bang.
Thank you for listening, everybody.
All right, take
tune
care,
in
guys.
again.
Yes, bring your friends.
Go out with a bang. Let's go. All right, see y'all.
Adios.